In my last life, I tore up that 10 million yuan check and got one word in return: get lost. This time, I gracefully accepted the check. I'd been reborn. Back to the day Su Qingying's father threw a 10 million yuan check in my face. In my last life, I tore that check to pieces and told him loud and clear, true love is priceless. What I got back was his mocking sneer and Su Qingying's colder than ever stare, plus 10 straight years of chasing her like a nobody, until finally, at a business banquet, trying to protect her, I was stabbed to death by her rival in a dark alley. Before I died, all I saw was her emotionless face, like she was looking at a complete stranger. But this time, I was done being the simp who ended up with nothing. So I decided to take the 10 million. 10 million. Stay away from my daughter. Su Jianguo, chairman of the Su Group, held a cigar between his fingers. Through the swirling smoke, his face looked somewhat like Su Qingying's, but it was full of age and authority, and written all over it was judgment from above. He pushed a gold-stamped check in front of me, slow and calm, but heavy as a mountain. Young man, don't say I'm bullying you with power. This money is enough for someone like you to work a lifetime for. Take it and disappear from Yuncheng. Never show up in front of Qingying again. I looked at the number on that check. 10 million, with all those zeros. Almost blinding. Memories came rushing back like a flood. My heart clenched hard, so painful I could barely breathe. In my last life, this was where I felt the worst humiliation of my life. My face turned red, the veins in my neck bulged, and I practically shouted, I love Qingying. It's not about the money. Thinking back now, what a joke. I looked up. Across from me, Su Jianguo looked impatient, as if he'd already guessed I was about to act tough. Beside him stood Su Qingying, the ice-cold goddess I had chased for 3 whole years. Still wearing a white dress, so beautiful she barely seemed human. She stood there quietly, her gaze cold, not looking at me, or at her father, as if none of this had anything to do with her. I was just a speck of dust she could erase from her life. And not far behind them, a young man in an Armani suit, with shiny, slicked-back hair, was watching me with amusement. Zhao Hui, a famous rich kid in Yuncheng, and one of Su Qingying's most obsessed pursuers. He was also my sworn enemy in my last life. He was waiting to see me get humiliated, waiting to see me kicked out like a homeless dog. I took a deep breath and forced down the emotions surging in my chest. Then, under everyone's stunned gaze, I reached out and elegantly picked up the check with 2 fingers, held it to the light, and even checked the watermark carefully. Then I looked at Su Jianguo and gave him the brightest smile. Thank you, uncle. My voice wasn't loud, but it hit the luxury private room like thunder. This kid actually took it? All of Su Jianguo's prepared speech got stuck in his throat. The mocking smile on Zhao Hui's face froze, and on Su Qingying's ice-cold face, a crack appeared for the first time. I carefully folded the check and put it into the pocket of my faded jeans. Don't worry, uncle. Starting today, I promise I'll never contact Miss Su Qingying again. I wish you good health and booming business. Sorry for bothering you all. For the past 3 years, I wish you a bright future. Su Qingying's body trembled almost imperceptibly. Zhao Hui finally snapped back to reality and burst into a harsh laugh. I thought you had some backbone. Turns out you're just a spineless loser. Who'll sell anything for money? 10 years of love sold for 10 millions. Man, you're pathetic. I stopped walking and looked back at him. Young Master Zhao, you're funny. First of all, it wasn't 10 years. It was 3. Second, it wasn't love. It was one-sided harassment. This isn't me selling myself. It's Chairman Su giving me severance pay for 3 years of hard work. I paused and looked around at the 3 of them. After all, being a qualified simp takes time, money, and effort too. 10 million. Not too much, not too little, just right. With that, I ignored their petrified faces and walked out without looking back. When I stepped out of the 5-star hotel, screw love, screw dignity. I, Chen Ansheng, had been reborn. In this life, I love no one, only money. The thrill of my first fortune, I didn't cash the check right away. Instead, I went back to my tiny rental room. It was dark and damp, and smelled like instant noodles and mold. This was the love nest I'd lived in for 3 years, just to be closer to Su Qingying. Now it only felt ironic. I opened my old laptop that I'd used for 5 years. The screen lagged forever before loading the desktop. What's the advantage of being reborn? Information gap. I opened my stock trading app and skillfully typed in a code. 600X Tengfeitek. I remembered it clearly. Tomorrow, this company would announce a breakthrough chip technology patent, and in just 1 month, its stock would skyrocket from 5 yuan to 150, a full 30 times return. In my last life, my roommate went all in with 20 grand and bought a house outright, while I was working 3 jobs, just to buy Su Qingying a designer bag. My phone rang. It was Su Qingying. Her usual cold voice came through the phone, but this time it sounded a little anxious. Chenan, what do you mean by this? Nothing much, I said calmly. Just letting you know. I packed up all your stuff. It's outside my door. You can have someone pick it up anytime. Also, I changed my number. No need to contact me again. Chenan, are you just throwing a tantrum? Su Qingying, have you read too many romance novels? I'll say it one more time. We're done. That 10 million is what I earned. I pulled out the SIM card, snapped it in half, and tossed it into the trash. Early the next morning, the bank transfer went smoothly. When the text showed a long string of zeros in my balance, my life was truly about to restart. I transferred 9.9 million into my brokerage account and went all in on Tengfeitek. I moved out of the urban village and into an executive suite at Yuncheng's top hotel, soaking in a huge bathtub, drinking chilled champagne, and looking out at the city lights. In my last life, I could only stare up at this hotel from outside. But now I was inside it. Ding dong. My phone rang. It was a text from Su Qingying. "Chenan, where are you? Did you throw away everything I gave you?" I looked at the message and almost laughed. Everything she gave me was just stuff she didn't need. A pen? A notebook. Every time it felt like she was tossing scraps to a beggar. I blocked her number immediately. For the next week, I lived the easy life I had always dreamed of. I bought several well-fitted suits and threw out my cheap t-shirts. When I walked into high-end places in a tailored Armani with a Patek Philippe on my wrist, all I got were humble smiles and Tengfei Tech, just as I expected. Kept climbing. That night, I was drinking at Yunding Tiangong, Yuncheng's top private club. Two smoking hot models were leaning against me, when suddenly I spotted a familiar figure, Su Qingying. She was with Zhao Hui and a few other rich kids. Zhao Hui was bragging at full volume, while Su Qingying looked cold as ever. She noticed me too. Our eyes met in midair. Her eyes were full of disgust. I guess in her mind, someone like me, using her father's money to party and indulge, was no different from trash. Zhao Hui pushed through the crowd and strode right over. "Well, if it isn't the great lover boy Chen," Zhao Hui raised his voice on purpose. "This guy's the big shot who took 10 million from the Su family." "You think you've reached the top of life now?" I picked up my whiskey without even looking at him. "Young Master Zhao, long time no see. How's the family business?" I heard Zhao Group's big projects. Zhao Hui's face changed instantly. "What the hell are you talking about?" I smiled. "That port project in Southeast Asia fell apart, didn't it? And Lion Capital snatched your European chip agency rights, right? Those two deals cost your family 500 million, didn't they?" Cold sweat broke out on Zhao Hui's forehead. "That was core confidential information." "How did I know? You investigated me?" I stood up, half a head taller than him, and looked down at him. "I'm just reminding you to mind your own business. Stop barking at people like a rabid dog." I pulled a stack of cash from my wallet and slapped it on the table. "Ladies, thanks for tonight." When I passed by Su Qingying, I paused for a second. The shock in her eyes was even stronger now. I gave her a meaningful smile. "Miss Su, you really should learn to judge people better." Then I walked away like I owned the place. You were never out of my reach. I just don't feel like climbing anymore. After leaving the club, I drove straight to the airport. My destination was Modu, right by the Huangpu River, where I rented a long-term unit at top-tier Thompson Riviera. When the market opened the next day, my broker's voice was trembling. "Mr. Chen, it's up." Tengfei Tech hit the daily limit. "Keep holding. Don't sell before 150. 1 month later, the stock price reached it right on schedule. I sold everything without hesitation and locked in the profit. After that, Dynasty Capital was officially founded. I hired top-tier analysts. At first, they looked down on me because I was young, until I accurately predicted 3 US market circuit breakers, led them to short the market, and pulled in $50 million in one day. In their eyes, I wasn't a boss, I was a god. My life became insanely busy. Until one day, my secretary handed me an invitation to an international business summit. And on the co-host list, written clearly, was Su Group. Turn it down for me. But Mr. Lee from the organizers specifically asked for you to attend. Lee Zikai, son of Hong Kong's richest man. I frowned. Looked like Dynasty Capital's name had already gotten out. Fine. I nodded. I'll go. I actually want to see when we meet again what kind of faces the Su family will make.